If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
When it comes to planting our garden, we want to plant things that are going to produce for us and give us a bounty of harvest, a big yield. Not all crops do that, but we've gone over the numbers and we've picked out several popular plants in which most of us will grow or have grown in our garden, and we're going to provide you with how much they actually produce. That's the thing. We want to plant a few plants of a particular variety, and we want to get an abundance of harvest. We don't have to plant 800 plants to get a little bit to eat. So let's talk about bush beans and pole beans here. Very popular plant. The difference between the two are bush beans grow in a bush, pole beans grow in a pole. But bush beans take 40 to 60 days to reach maturity, produce for 2 to 4 weeks, then they're done. Their life cycle is over. Pole beans take 70 to 80 days to reach maturity and will produce all the way up to frost. There are some diseases in which they can get by the end of the growing season, but that's another time, another conversation.
You also have to trellis your pole beans.
Correct.
So that's something.
And with all of these crops, majority of them, if you do not continue to harvest, you're going to get one harvest and that's it. A lot of these crops you can continue to harvest all the way up until the plant quits producing or the fall temperatures kill it. So
zucchini.
Well, let's talk about bush beans here.
Oh, okay.
3 to 5 pounds per 10-foot row based on the variety, and you want to pick them consistently, and you want to plant that row every 2 weeks. A new row every 2 weeks called succession planting, so you have a harvest throughout the year. Now, we have found that a typical bush bean plant will produce about a pint to a pint and a half per plant on the conservative side. So you plant a 10-foot row, plant every 6 inches. There's a lot of beans there. Also, pole beans will yield 2 to 3 times more than a bush bean will because of the space. You can grow it vertical. You can put a lot more in a small area. So a pole bean plant can produce up to 15 pounds of beans versus one bush bean plant.
So zucchini is, I guess what we would call a high-value crop.
Yes.
You can get a lot of zucchini from one plant, and you can get a lot of zucchini quickly because it seems like those suckers grow overnight once they start producing. So if you want something, maybe you want a lot of zucchini, maybe you like to use it for certain things, you don't have to plant a lot. And there's a lot of things you can do with zucchini.
Right.
So it's definitely something to consider.
And you can harvest it at any size, 2 inches to 8 inches. We let them go sometimes very, very large because we use it to make zucchini relish out of it, and that way we can get more of it. They get a little more woody, but once you do the process of zucchini relish, you don't notice the woodiness aspect of it. A typical plant, 3 to 9 pounds per plant. I think that's conservative, 3 to 9 pounds per plant. We've gotten more than 9 pounds off. There's some zucchinis that we've harvested that's been more than 9 pounds before.
Yeah, some ones that are a couple, a foot long, 2 feet long.
Yeah.
So tomatoes, on average, it can produce a staked tomato plant will produce 8 pounds per plant.
That's conservative. We've gotten 10 to 15, even 20 pounds off some tomatoes, and some tomatoes can, if you have good situation, good soil, good growing situation, you can get them to grow 8, 9, 10 feet tall. Look online. There's several of them that's done that, and 20 pounds is the high end. 10 pounds, I think, but 10 pounds off one plant, that's pretty good on that. And the cherry variety, you can get between 200 and 500 cherries, tomatoes, or grape tomatoes off one single plant across the board. And
that's really ideal. I know a lot of people like those for snacking, and if you want to have snacks, tomato snacks, definitely.
Well, you talked about the Tiny Tim tomato. On the one plant there that we had on the porch, there was every bit of 40 tomatoes just on that at one particular time that we were harvesting last year. And that's a 16-inch high in a 1-gallon grow bag, basically an heirloom dwarf variety tomato plant.
Right. So cucumbers are a nice plant to grow. Homegrown cucumbers are quite delicious and fresh.
No comparison.
Cucumbers they grow nicely. You can definitely, if you're planning on pickling, you want to grow 3 to 4 plants for each quart of pickles you want to make.
And you want to grow the pickling variety.
Yes.
Don't try to grow a slicing variety and use it for pickling.
It's not going to
work.
Now, if you want, slicing variety, you want to grow 2 to 3 plants per person in your household. Another thing to keep in mind, I just want to mention with cucumbers, is that they don't have a long life. So they're going to die off usually here in Wisconsin in like September, and that's normal. That's common. So if you have a cucumber that goes beyond that, that's great, but don't be surprised if that's the case.
So the next one we want to look at is, let's talk about peppers. Peppers, a 10-foot row can yield you 5 to 18 pounds. Now, that's a lot, because you look at a pepper, and peppers are all air inside. It's not like a tomato where it's all meat inside. So to get 5 pounds of peppers, you've got a lot of peppers.
That's a lot of peppers.
A lot of peppers.
Now, peppers can be a challenge to grow at times, especially if it's not been a warm summer. Hopefully we'll have a warm pepper-friendly summer. But sometimes it's just not possible. So you might want to go
keep the water to them.
Keep the water to them. Go
sun,
to
mulch.
Farmer's market, whatever, if you need to get some.
And real
nice
quick
peppers.
on the peppers, if you're growing hot and mild, you want to label them, because Hungarian sweet and Hungarian hot peppers are identical until you bite into them.
Or until you put them on your pizza.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you got a hot pizza.
That's right.
Root crops.
Yeah.
So something like carrots, 7 to 10 pounds per 10-foot row. You kind of have to determine how many carrots you want. They're not. You can can them. You can certainly.
You have to pressure can those carrots.
Yeah, you pressure can them. They do store for a while. If you don't rinse the dirt off, they do store for a while, properly sealed in your refrigerator.
That's with any root crop. Do not clean the dirt off. It acts as a barrier or prevention of spoilage for a longer period of time. So that's good. Let's talk real quick on okra here. I know you don't like okra, but there are people that enjoy okra, and we found if we dehydrate it, the sliminess dissipates on it, and it's not nearly as bad for your particular taste. But
I still don't really like it.
You don't like it. Now, if you watch videos in the south, from Alabama, Georgia, the south, east portions of the United States, their okra plants get like the size of small maple trees, 8, 9, 10, 12 feet tall, and they cannot harvest everything that's off of them. There's only so much they can harvest. 10-foot row, 18-inch spacing of plants can produce 10 pounds, 5 to 10 pounds per row. Now, that's like peppers. There's a lot of air in an okra pod.
That's a lot of okra.
That's a lot of okra. We have been successful to grow okra here in Zone 5A in the upper Midwest. California, you'll be able to do that. Pennsylvania, Michigan, wherever you're at, okra can be grown. You've just got to follow some of the rules and recommendations to have a successful harvest on that.
Yeah, okra, definitely something you should consider growing.
And there's there's burgundy okra and there's green okra. So there's a couple of choices, and there's 135 different varieties of okra in the world that you can purchase. So if there was probably something there that even you, Holly, might like.
Okay, whatever. So rutabaga, it's kind of rutabaga. A lot of people are doing this low carb thing. People don't realize that the rutabaga is a low starch vegetable. So maybe if you're like, hey, I'm trying to cut my carbs, trying to watch how many carbs I'm eating, try some rutabaga. It's 8 to 30 pounds per 10-foot row. Rutabaga is just a hardy root crop. It's a little bit, I don't even know, kind of like a cross between potato and a radish, I'd say.
If you're not sure, it's an acquired taste, I would say.
But I've cooked it down, I mashed it and made it like mashed potatoes, and I like it.
Right.
Or you could do like some slicing thing and bake it.
We baked it. You've chunked it, baked it, seasoned it, and it's not bad.
No, like a roasted root vegetable.
We have found that the best rutabagas that we have been able to grow is in fall. They take 90 days to reach maturity. The frost in the evening or at night during the fall helps sweeten the bulb, and the shorter days help it mature.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.